What is good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk Dynasty. We're here for a bonus trade show this month. Usually we only do one at the top of every month, but you guys have submitted so many trades that we figured why not give you guys a bonus episode this month. So we're going to get into that today. But Let's Talk Dynasty is just not myself. It would not be Let's Talk Dynasty without my co-host. So let's bring him into the building. MFGDs, how you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing good, man. I'm here, man. I'm ready to look at some trades, man, and give our review to see if anybody made some good moves or bad moves. Let's do it.
Look, man, I see we already have some people in the chat. Go Rings was in here very early. He said, just so you know, the Rice trade has new context now. So he's in here giving us new context. He saw it on the thumbnail. He said, we got to get the context in here. Anthony says, Rashee Rice trade show extravaganza. We'll talk Rashee Rice today. Jared says, or Gerard Mayo says some more gold incoming. We got a whole bunch of people in the chat. Bindles, everybody. Appreciate you guys all being here. But let's pull up these trades and let's dive right into it, War. But I guess before I get into these trades, I did put a question of the day in the chat. And I want to ask you, because I said question of the day is, if you could go back in time when you first started playing Dynasty and you could give yourself one piece of advice, what would be the piece of advice that you give your old self knowing what you know now?
Research, take time before you hit accept on those trades. I traded Mark Andrews for a third once upon a time. So,
oh man, early on, huh?
Yeah. So, I mean, that was like one of my first seasons playing Dynasty. I was just too obsessed with getting them draft picks. So,
fair enough. I think I'm going to piggyback off of that because my piece of advice that I would give myself, and really what I would give new people coming into the space that are playing Dynasty for the first time, because if you're coming in from a redraft audience and you're biting that apple, going into a Dynasty league for the very first time, you're going to have something called rookie picks. Those are different than any other draft pick you've ever had in your entire life. You've never had something like that. So my advice would be never trade those draft picks, those rookie picks, until you understand the value of what they are, which technically means that probably for the first year that you are playing Dynasty, you shouldn't be trading those rookie picks away because you just won't understand what those picks are until you do a rookie draft for yourself. And after a year of doing a rookie draft, you'll probably know what that looks like. So that would be my piece of advice. But with that being said, I do want to get right into today's show. So we will pull these trades up. We got the first one here on the screen. Let me switch the overlay into what we typically do. But we're going to start it off pretty easy here, War. The context for this trade is 12-team, Superflex, tight end premium, PPR, and a rebuilding roster. This was submitted by Anthony Mack. So he's rebuilding. He's giving up Baker Mayfield. He's getting a 2025 first. How do we feel about this trade overall?
I think it's a fairly even trade. I mean, I looked at this trade for a second and I was kind of on the fence about it because I'm just used to Baker, not being that good, him being really mid. But I guess now, like basing off of like last year's Baker, that getting the 25 first for him is okay. I mean, but I definitely wouldn't do it for any lower caliber of a quarterback than Baker trading the first. I also have a very strict policy against next year's first. So I'm kind of a little bit jaded when it comes to that.
So you say strict policy against next year's first. What do you mean by that? I technically put Drew Alar over there on the side. He's, I don't know, I guess some people would say in contention for QB1 in this class. So who knows what it ends up being. But you have some contingencies against the 2025 draft class. How do you feel about that? Explain that a little bit more.
Well, no, I just feel like, me personally, I feel like my policy is like, to me, a 25 first is like the equivalent of a 24 second. So, I mean, I kind of look at it like that. Like, would you trade Baker for a 24 second? And you probably would. So, I mean, I guess it's fine, but also it comes with a disclaimer. When you get to 25, you're probably going to regret trading that first for Baker.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I definitely don't hey, when you are a rebuilding roster to get the first round pick like Anthony did, and you get liquid, because I'll tell you what, it's going to be easier for you to trade that 2025 first round pick than it will be to trade Baker Mayfield down the road. Every team can see that 2025 first round pick and say, oh, to me, that's a running back. To me, that's a wide receiver. To me, that's a quarterback. Whatever you need that need to be for your team, you can view that pick that way. But Baker Mayfield's always going to be Baker Mayfield. So it is easier to trade the liquid asset. For me, I like Baker. I think Baker, I mean, when you look at what he was doing last year, I mean, we're big Baker fans on this channel, to be honest. I'm just pulling up the numbers right now, though. You look at what he did down the stretch last season, pretty damn good. A couple games down there, especially as we were getting towards the back half of the season, he had multiple 3-4 different top 12 finishes at the position. Couple of them in the beginning of the year. It was a career year for Baker Mayfield for the most part. Fantasy points per game, 16.7. I like Baker. I like the 2025 first. It makes sense to do what Anthony did. But all in all, I don't think anybody's like winning this trade. I think it's just a fair deal straight across.
Yeah, fair and even.
Yeah, Anthony says Carson Beck, 2025 QB1. Keep the receipt. Anthony, if I'm not mistaken, you're a Georgia fan, aren't you? Because that might be a little biased. I will say that might be a little biased if you're a Georgia fan. But Bindle says, give me the 25 first. The roll, give me the 25 first. Seems like people want that. So, yeah, get liquid, get the 25 first. That's trade number one. Moving on to trade number two here, we are going to be talking about the trade that is in the thumbnail. So here's the context of the deal. 12-team Superflex start 11. He says Rashee Rice was his wide receiver 8. This is posted from Goat Rings. Big submission guy for the channel. Every episode has a Goat Rings trade. He gives up Rashee Rice. He gets the 210 and the 27. I have Bo Nix there on the side because 207 is roughly where Bo Nix is going right now in ADP, knowing what we know today. His new context that he has is it was sent back later, Rice 306, 308 this week. So he said, just want to let you know. So he's moving and grooving, trying to capitalize on this dip in price that we have for Rashee Rice. How do you feel about this type of deal, War? And I guess we also kind of have to have a little bit of a deeper conversation about how do we feel about Rashee Rice right now?
How do I feel about this deal in general? I feel like it's fine, especially with the context that this is wide receiver 8.
That's huge.
Yeah, that is. But if we're talking, so I feel like it's also important to remove the context as well. If we're talking about it not being his wide receiver 8, I have a little bit more of a reservation about the compensation because to me, 210 is no different from 3-1. Like it's basically a third round pick. And the 2-7 is not that much better. If I'm trading Rashee Rice without me knowing the exact conclusion of his legal issues, I would definitely at the lowest be looking to get like a top 3 pick in the second round at the lowest for him. I'm definitely not trading him at this point because who knows? This could end up just being like a few game suspension, and then we could still be looking at the wide receiver 1 for Patrick Mahomes. So I don't know. I don't without the context, I don't like it. With the context, it's fine.
Yeah. And I know Go Rings, he's been in the Discord. This also, if you guys are not a member of the Discord, this is where we're pulling the trades from. So go join that Discord. It is linked in the description. But he's been in there. He's been moving and grooving for Rashee Rice a lot in a lot of his leagues. He's been trying to buy the dip. He's been selling out on him. He's just basically like getting a bunch of shares and selling a bunch of shares, trying to get different gains in value. So I see what he's doing, and it definitely makes sense. If you are of the belief that Rashee Rice is going to serve a 2 to 4 game suspension, if that's kind of your belief, I feel like this type of price to purchase Rashee at a 2.7, 2.10, it makes sense because before the incident, the reckless driving, all the other stuff that we all know about. I'm not, a lawyer. We're not going to get into the legal of this. I'm not Roger Goodell himself. We're not issuing suspensions, but let's just talk about where the value was at. March 31st, not even a month ago up to this point, he was being valued up in the same breath as like wide receiver 20. Like he was a top 20 wide receiver in Dynasty. Today, he's wide receiver 32 on Keep Trade Cut. So he has fallen pretty significantly, went from about 5,000 in KTC price all the way down to now where he's less than 4,000. So about a 4,000 point difference in what we've seen. It's risky. It's risky to buy Rashee Rice, especially because when you have issues like this with the legal, we don't know what's going to happen. It seems like the NFL, for the most part, is fairly inconsistent with the way that they issue suspensions and things like that. Also, we're getting more and more information every single day. Like we just got one today about how fast he was driving before the other, or it was yesterday about how fast he was driving before the crash. With that being said, if you are going to purchase in on Rashee Rice, I like this price because the reality of you hitting on a 2.7, a 2.10, it's probably not very great. You're probably drafting guys that are not going to be difference makers for the most part for your team. Now, if you are nervous, and he had the luxury of selling Rice because he's his wide receiver 8, but let's say Rashee Rice is your wide receiver 3 on your roster. Are you selling at this point? Or are you holding? Because to me, I feel like if he's my wide receiver 3, I probably have to hold Rashee Rice, and I'm not selling low right now.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree 100%. You have to hold in that scenario.
So I see. We got the roll says 32 is disgustingly low for his wide receiver rank. I think, yeah, it's low knowing what we know about his talent. The uncertainty is what dips that price. I mean, let's play our game where we have that game that we play all the time. Let's run the game. Today, you are drafting a Dynasty fantasy football roster. You have to choose between Rashee Rice or said player. We're going to start it off with right now. Rashee Rice or Davante Adams today.
Davante Adams.
Rashee Rice, Mike Evans.
Mike Evans.
Rashee Rice or Brian Thomas Jr.
Brian Thomas Jr.
I'm the same with you so far. Deebo Samuel.
Deebo.
Jayden Reed.
Jayden Reed. Now,
that's where I'm at too. I feel like we need to go low. Let's go lower. Rashee Rice or Stephon Diggs today?
I'm probably still taking Diggs.
Me too. Xavier Worthy.
Without me knowing what team he's going to, Rashee Rice.
Christian Kirk. Is this the tier?
This is the tier.
So that's where the risk is with Rice right now, based on the perception of the public. Obviously, the talent is above those players that we talked about. We know when he's on the field, the youth, all of those things considered, great asset. So my advice right now, and I think this trade is fine, knowing the circumstances that we know. I don't think anybody's a big winner. I don't think anybody's a big loser. Goat Rings was worried we were going to roast him in here. I'm not roasting you for this deal, Goat Rings. In fact, I think this is good compensation for you to sell low if he is your wide receiver 8. It makes sense for your roster.
Yeah.
I just feel like Rashee Rice is a player, and I've flip-flopped on this a couple times because I've done some startup mock drafts. I've done some other stuff where I've said, like, I'm not too worried, and then I've got more information where I'm like, I am kind of worried. So my ultimate feeling is if Rashee Rice is on my roster, unless he is a wide receiver 8, 7, 6, 5, probably on my roster like that, I'm just holding. If he's like a top 4 guy in my wide receiver room, I'm holding him right now. If I'm buying at like insanely low prices. I'm trying to capitalize on somebody tilting. And what that means for me is like, I'll send you an early third and see if you're going to bite on that. Maybe somebody crashes out at maybe that's bad terminology for talking about Rashee Rice right now. I apologize.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody bites the bullet on a third, and that's where I'm at. So I'm gonna still buy low, try and buy low, and I'm not necessarily selling low at this point. I'm holding because I feel like it sounds scary. Everything that sounds scary, we hear felonies, we hear all this other stuff. we all have the vision of Henry Ruggs in our mind,
Yeah.
and it scares everybody. But let me remind you, and this, again, he didn't crash, and there was nothing really other than speeding involved in Jordan Addison. But Jordan Addison, before his first game, was driving like 135 miles an hour in a Lamborghini down the highway. And he didn't miss a single game. So there is a range of outcomes here, guys. We can't be too worried about Rashee Rice, but you also got to keep it in your mind because obviously he did crash and there was some other things involved. So yes, worse than Jordan Addison's, but still, I'm trying to buy low. That's where I'm at right now. And if I can send my Christian Kirk and get Rashee Rice, I might do it. If I can send my 3rd round pick, I might do it. A late second, I might do it. But this is a good deal overall for Goat Rings. And he says, "Ayo." So we give him the salute on that one. The roll says you could probably get Xavier Legette here at 2.7. Maybe. That's a good question, though. Legette or Rice? I don't know right now.
I definitely think the depth of this wide receiver class definitely makes the price of Rashee go down a little bit.
And I also think it's the fact that you're getting 2 late seconds. Yeah. It almost makes it feel a little bit better because like now you could take those 2 seconds and package it to move up to like 202, 203.
Yep.
Like now you could get a really good player. I mean, then we're talking like Lad McConkey, Troy Franklin type of guy. Yeah. And I feel a lot better about those guys. So anyways, that is trade number 2. But that's as deep as I can get on Rashee Rice right now. Obviously, it's going to keep developing over the course of the offseason, but we'll see what happens. Maybe 2 weeks from now, the Chiefs are a team that drafts an Xavier Worthy. If they do, maybe we're viewing Rice even differently then. So, like, there is a whole lot that can happen. But here's trade number 3. Goat Rings. We got you back to back. Jaxon Smith-Njigba is the player that he is receiving. He is going to be giving up Chris Godwin and the 205. It is a 10-team Superflex, full PPR, 1.75 tight end premium. So a little boost on the tight end premium there. Start 11. How are we feeling about this type of deal? I'll say right off the jump, if I can package Godwin in the 205 to get JSN, I'm buying that upside all day long. But I also am interested, so you're in agreement there. You're taking the JSN side by a mile.
I don't think too much about Chris Godwin at all. So, like,
he's a guy.
So, I mean, he's like a Christian Kirk. So, I mean, I kind of, this trade is a landslide for Goat Rings to me.
10-team, especially Chris Godwin is just a guy. Like, and I get it that there have been some discourse about like, well, JSN, he didn't really do a lot as a rookie. So historically, there's XYZ type of player that didn't pan out because they didn't do well as rookies. But it's like, okay, we have more context than that. There's DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, obviously Geno Smith injured a little bit last year. Also not a good quarterback. Let's just be honest. They trade for Sam Howell, new coaching staff in. Like there's a whole lot of changes here. JSN was still my wide receiver 1 last year, a guy that I still believe in. I get that they re-upped Tyler Lockett, but I feel like you are buying JSN right now, probably the floor. This is like the value floor for him. I get it that Chris Godwin, there's a world where Chris Godwin outscores Jaxon Smith-Njigba this year. Again.
There is.
But JSN just has so much more upside.
Yeah.
And in a 10-team league, you're searching for those hammer type of players more often than you're looking for depth pieces. To me, it feels like Chris Godwin is a depth wide receiver, a guy that you can flex on good matchups. Maybe an injury happens, you're playing him. But if JSN turns into a monster, which I did believe that JSN could be when he was drafted, that is something I still believe is in the range of outcomes. I think he can be not, I don't want to throw like a crazy name out there, but like I'm going to throw a crazy name out there. I feel like he can be an Amon-Ra St. Brown type of player. Like, I think that is the type of player that JSN can be. That's the ceiling. And if he is Amon-Ra St. Brown.
You just went dark there. You just went dark.
I was wondering what happened with you.
You turned the lights out with your take, man. You turned the lights out with your take.
If he can be a Amon-Ra St. Brown, I mean, you're giving this up in a heartbeat. And let's talk about what if JSN turns into Michael Pittman? You're still taking this, right?
Yeah. It's Pittman. Yeah.
DJ Moore, if he's DJ Moore, you're taking it. Like the range of outcomes is you just have so much room to work with here. Like, what if JSN's Devontae Smith?
Are you taking him as prime, a player that's on his team, prime Lockett?
If JSN turns into prime Tyler Lockett,
yes.
I think they're different players, but if I get that type of production,
we're talking about strictly from a production standpoint.
For sure. I mean, let's look at that's a good test study. I mean, let's pull up Tyler Lockett's career right now.
Because in terms of targets, that's the first guy he's going to have to overtake in order to become a bigger fantasy asset.
And keep in mind, Tyler Lockett's going to be 32 this season.
DK is going nowhere.
No, DK is going nowhere, but also like this offense needs a possession wide receiver.
They do.
A guy like JSN to own that slot, that could be elite. But let's look at Tyler Lockett, bro. 1, 2, 3, 4 wide receiver 2 seasons and a wide receiver 1 season. So if I get 5 years where I'm getting top 20 numbers out of JSN and it's costing me Chris Godwin and the 205, yes, let me get it right now. Because I feel like Chris Godwin at best is what, a wide receiver 2? That's what he's not a wide receiver 1.
Yeah. And I feel like he's falling bit by bit every season.
Bit by bit. It's actually ever since that injury that he suffered he actually hasn't bounced back to full form, because he did have that year where he was like elite, but that was with Brady. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. But I do see that the role he said, spitting facts, he said JSN side all day. I think we all are with that. Caleb says, get me a hoodie. Sheesh, bro. I'll get you a hoodie. And then, I guess they're trying to join some dynasty leagues. So there we go. But with that being said, let's move on to the next one. But I'm taking the JSN side. Was that Amon-Ra St. Brown take really that crazy?
Yeah, it was.
Damn, I hate to be that guy.
That's basically you saying that JSN is going to be like top 3, top 4. So yeah, it's kind of
the ceiling of what he could be, in my opinion. But still, that I hear what you're saying. But here we go. Red Pandas, NFL. He gets Michael Pittman. We just brought him up. And then JSA Adams gets Jayden Reed and Marvin Mims. 12-team, Superflex, tight end premium, PPR. The context said Marvin Mims hype? Question mark.
Mm-hmm.
Jerry Jeudy's out of town. Cortland Sutton, there's rumors there as well. Potentially a quarterback upgrade coming. Off of just what we know here right now.
Okay.
Which side are you leaning?
Pittman.
That's where I lean as well.
Yeah.
Is that because you don't? I know you and I both like Jayden Reed. We're fans of Jayden Reed.
Yeah.
Is that because you don't believe in the extra piece of Marvin Mims?
I don't. It's an irrelevant piece to me right now because he didn't do anything last season. They still don't have a quarterback, and this is a deep wide receiver class. So at this moment in time, I'm not really looking at Mims for any type of value. Jeudy leaving town and potentially Cortland Sutton leaving town are not big enough factors for me to look at that as the piece that's going to make this like an even trade.
I agree. And I will say, even if we remove Mims out of the deal, which I guess he has a tiny bit of value, but like you said, not a needle mover by any means. Jayden Reed and Michael Pittman Jr., I love Jayden Reed, but it still doesn't feel close. Like, just looking at their KTC ranks right now, Michael Pittman, wide receiver 16, Jayden Reed, wide receiver 27. Jayden Reed, I just did my updated wide receiver rankings on this channel. He didn't make my top 24. That included the 2024 rookie class in it as well. Jayden Reed did not make my top 24. Pittman did. I just feel like Michael Pittman is the better player. And I recently saw some people that were worried about Michael Pittman Jr. Are you worried about Pittman with Anthony Richardson at quarterback this year? I guess some people are worried that his value was pushed up because Gardner Minshew, but
No, I'm not worried about that. I believe in the development of Anthony Richardson enough to not really have to worry about Michael Pittman suffering any type of step back because of the massive loss of Gardner Minshew.
I just feel like, and I get it. Like if you look back, like the first couple games, Michael Pittman didn't do him a lot, but like keep in mind, Anthony Richardson played like 2.5 games. So if Michael Pittman has 2 bad matchups where he's facing an elite DB, or maybe he's doesn't get the football one game just because, it could look like, oh, anytime Anthony Richardson is the quarterback, Michael Pittman Jr. is not good. You can skew that very quickly. Yeah. I think Michael Pittman Jr. has been a very, very good fantasy football wide receiver, no matter who's played quarterback. Because keep in mind, Gardner was the quarterback last year, but he had Jacob Eason. He had a whole bunch of other guys, Matt Ryan. There's been a plethora of quarterbacks that have come through. Michael Pittman Jr. has always been as solid as it comes. I would be more worried as somebody who has been probably one of the front runners, and you can attest to this, War. Yeah. I've been one of the front runners for the Jayden Reed hype train since before he was ever even drafted.
This is true.
I would be more worried about where his value is at right now than I would be Michael Pittman's, because that Green Bay wide receiver room feels like I still don't know who the hell is anybody in this room. Like Jayden Reed could very well be the number one guy, but it could be Christian Watson. It could be Romeo Doubs.
Of nameless, faceless wide receivers who can each have big games. Different players can have different big games on any different week. That's who the Packers wide receivers are.
So I think with that being said, where Jayden Reed is being valued right now, I feel comfortable with where he's at, because earlier in the offseason, Jayden Reed was being talked about in the same breath as like T. Higgins, DJ Moore, Devontae Smith types of guys. And I was like, that is when I was trying to sell Jayden Reed. And I was like, nobody was biting on that. It wasn't realistic. His price has come down now. He's in the same range as George Pickens, JSN, Debo, Brian Thomas Jr. That feels fine. That feels appropriate. Even then, are you saying it's high?
Yeah, man. Yeah, kind of. A couple of them names, I'm just like, I love Jayden Reed, but I'm not taking him over those players.
If I can move my Jayden Reed for a JSN, which they're only 2 spots apart, I'm doing it.
I'm probably doing it for Pickens too.
You think so?
Yeah. And what other names did you say that? I was like, yeah.
Brian Thomas?
Not yet, no. Unless he went to the Bills. Debo? I like Jayden Reed more than Debo.
I think this is Debo before he became Debo. Like, I really think the career path for Jayden Reed is like following Debo's footsteps.
Yeah.
So, all right, man. Well, let's get on to the next one. We are going to trade number 5 here. We got Jaylen Waddle and a 2025 third being traded for Travis Etienne and the 110. The context here is 12-team Superflex PPR 1-point tight end premium. So the way that I am interpreting this is that it is a PPR league. Receivers get 1 point, tight ends get 2 points. So this is basically like ultra extra tight end premium here. Start 10 and a contending roster. So this is submitted by Joel. So Joel is the one that we are going to be grading here. He is the contending roster. He is getting Etienne and the 110. How do we feel about that? You're a big Waddle guy.
Joel, I do hope that you're enjoying Let's Talk Dynasty today if you're watching. My friend, you lost this trade and you have clearly lost your mind, because I'm on the Waddle side all day. If you're contending, I don't know. Okay, if you're contending, I don't know why you're taking Etienne. I've never been an Etienne guy, but I don't know why you're taking Etienne. And the first shouldn't really matter in this case. Is 110 if you're the contender. I thought that the contender was the other guy who was getting Waddle. But yeah, I'm on the Waddle side all day, man. All day.
Yeah, I'm looking at where both of these guys are being valued on KTC right now, because I like Jaylen Waddle. I will probably admit that I'm a little bit lower on Travis Etienne than the community is. I think the community is a little bit higher on him than I am.
Me and you doing this.
But with that being said, Etienne is the RB8. Jaylen Waddle is the wide receiver 13. The difference in price is about 600 points. The value is the Etienne side. So he is going to be getting the most value here with Etienne and the 110. The best player is Jaylen Waddle. So I think for me, I am going to lean the Etienne side. That is the side that I want. And I hear your argument of like that 110 on a contender is not really going to do too much for you. But that's where the value's at for me. I don't even think he has to sit there and pick. You can trade that 110 for another player and go keep adding to this roster. But the best player in this deal is Jaylen Waddle. But as a contender, I'll take the Etienne on the 110 side.
I just vehemently disagree.
That's fine. That's fine. We can disagree for sure. It seems like a lot of people in the chat kind of are with the Etienne side. Some people are saying, I mean, it's the same thing where people are saying Waddle's the best asset, but the value's down there. Roll says Waddle is wide receiver 10 for him. Go Ring says, I think you can do more with the 110. If the Bills look at wide receiver and the Chiefs, maybe RB1 in the class, it's a lot of ADV right now. So I definitely agree. Geist is in here. He says that's 2+ first of value. Give me the Etienne side. I get it. I get it. Trade the 110 for a vet. I'm with you guys. War, he's a little different.
Because here's the thing. I'm looking at the point of exercise. Yes, could he move 110 for a veteran wide receiver? Yeah, he can. But since it's a mystery of what he's going to do with the 110, I'm going strictly by what I see. If I'm a contender, I'd rather be taking Waddle on my team versus, but I get it. If you can get a big piece with 110 or draft a stud, then I definitely would take that side. But since 110 is a mystery box right now, I mean, I just feel like the Waddle side for a contender is better.
Rose says you might have convinced him to go to the Waddle side. I think it's a good trade. I think if assuming Augie is not a contender, because Joel says he's the one contending, assuming he's not a contender, it's a win to get Jaylen Waddle. I mean, you get the longevity of that asset. It's a wide receiver. You get out of the running back. A lot of good things on Augie's side. Joel's, if you're going to win now, I mean, we don't know what Joel's wide receiver room looks like. What if Waddle is his wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4, and maybe he doesn't have a running back? Like, that's something to consider as well. Deep wide receiver class. At 110, you can get a Brian Thomas Jr., maybe an Xavier Worthy if he goes to Kansas City, something like that. Like, I like the value of the Etienne side, but all in all, I think it's a good trade for both parties. And I would hear the argument for both ways, and it sounds like people still hear the argument for both ways as well. But yeah, that's where we're at. Gavin's in here. He says 10-team, 1 quarterback, Garrett Wilson or Etienne in 110. I mean, 1 quarterback, it's going to make that draft a lot worse at that 110 spot. Give me Garrett Wilson.
Yeah.
So let's move on, though. But before we do move on, folks, I do want to let you guys know about our sponsor, our friends over at Underdog Fantasy. If you guys want to sign up on Underdog using code LEAGUEFFB, they will match your deposit up to $100. Yes, if you deposit $100, they will give you an extra $100 free, giving you $200 total dollars to play with. You can deposit a minimum of 10. So yes, 10 to 20. That's what you would be getting. If you guys want to play on Underdog Fantasy, I am going to be doing Underdog Fantasy best ball drafts all off season long, especially as we get closer to Best Ball Mania 5. I want to do some drafts with some people in the Discord, so go join that. I want to play in some best ball leagues with you guys. Make sure you sign up using code LEAGUEFFB when you do. or if you want to play some pick'ems, we just did a combine over at the BDGE team. We did a combine. Some people were saying Nick threw. He hurt a hamstring, and now I'll tell you, it wasn't fake. I was there in person. The hamstring is running like a 30-year-old man. That's what he is at this point. So it didn't look good. You can bet on the pick'ems too. Make sure you are in one of these states if you want to play in the pick'ems or on the best balls. If you're in any of those dark gray states, you cannot play, unfortunately, but you can still watch Let's Talk Dynasty. That's what you guys are here for. So again, use code League FFB when you sign up. But with that out of the way, let's get back into today's episode. All right, folks. So let's go over to trade number 6. Mr. Colors and Joel. Joel's back at it. 12-team Superflex PPR, 1 tight end premium, start 10, contending. I think it's the exact same team, same league. He gets Pat Freiermuth and the 202. He trades away the 111 and the 310. How are we feeling about this? This is extra juice on the tight end premium. So he is getting a tight end asset here. Freiermuth isn't like a needle mover.
No.
But how do you feel about that move back? You move back 3 spots. You get Pat Freiermuth thrown in as a 310. I'd lean the Freiermuth in the 202 side.
I do too on this one. I mean, if you were trying to, 310 for Fry, that's how I'm looking at it. 310 to Fry. I mean, look, I'm not even going to price all that. I'm with you. I'm with the tight end premium is the difference here. If we were talking about a non-tight end premium, then I would feel a little bit different because I think you could get a more valuable player at 111, but I take the Freiermuth side on this one.
Yeah, I'm pulling up Fantasy Pros ECR, which if you guys are not familiar with ECR, it's basically just expert consensus rankings. They take all of the Fantasy Pro experts, they take their rankings, they put them together, and they kind of give you an ADP. So what their Superflex ADP says right now, that 111 is Xavier Worthy. It's like Xavier Worthy, Lad McConkey, Troy Franklin. It's that range of wide receiver. The 202 is going to be maybe the RB1 in this class, Jonathan Brooks, Trey Benson, Adonai Mitchell, Michael Penix Jr. That's kind of the range that you're in. To me, an Xavier Worthy and an Adonai Mitchell, I don't see a difference in the 2 wide receivers. In fact, I prefer Adonai Mitchell to Xavier Worthy. You're moving back. You've given me Pat Freiermuth. I'm in. Give me that side.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Yeah, you still get the same caliber of player right there. So yeah, I'm with you on that one.
But we don't got to talk about it too much, man. I mean, that it just feels like you're moving within a tier and getting an extra asset that is valuable in this type of format. So
just don't
moving
take
on to the
Keon
next one.
Coleman.
You said what?
I said just don't take Keon Coleman.
You're out on Keon too?
Yeah, man. You talked me out of that guy, man.
All right. You want to know full disclosure? If you guys are watching this live stream right now, you're actually going to get a sneak peek to tomorrow's video. I am doing a video right now. I was working on the research for it today, War. You bring up Keon Coleman. Keon Coleman is talked about in this video. The video is going to be 5 overrated rookies that worry me in 2024 rookie drafts. Xavier Worthy is on this video. Keon Coleman is on this video. I'm not going to spoil the whole video. There's a couple more. So you guys are going to have to watch tomorrow's video. But Keon Coleman worries the hell out of me.
He gave y'all a little teaser. Just a little teaser.
Yeah, I'm not in on Keon Coleman. I'm out on Keon Coleman. Unless he gets like the perfect of perfect situations. But yeah. I'll talk about that in the video, what that would look like for you guys. But with that being said, here we go. Space and Feld. One of the OG supporters of this channel. So shout out to Space and Feld. He was here when we were at like 50 subs. So we'll always appreciate you. He gets Jamar Chase. He gives up Keenan Allen, the 108, the 109. It is a 12-team Superflex, half PPR, half tight end premium. Start 10. So, War, Jamar,
anytime you get a trade where you can get Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, or Amon-Ra, you win. You win. The Bears wide receiver 2 and 2 late first just don't equal Jamar Chase, in my opinion. God, man. One of those could have been the 1-1, and I would have been like skeptical. Well, you know what? No, I'm lying, because then we're talking about Marvin.
Yeah.
So, but those late for man, space and fail, you did it again.
Guy says 108 gotta be McCarthy and 109 BT Jr. Even then, it's still Chase. Yeah, if you took if we took the best of the best scenarios, the best of them, and we said JJ McCarthy is picked like top 4. He goes to Minnesota, which I think is probably the best landing spot he could possibly have. If he is there and Brian Thomas Jr. is a Buffalo Bill, are you taking McCarthy with the Vikings, BTJ with the Bills, and Keenan Allen with the Bears over Jamar Chase? To me, I'm not. No. And that's the best scenario.
No, I'm not. Like I said, the only way I'm moving Chase in a deal similar like to this is if I'm guaranteed Marvin out of the deal. That's the only way I'm doing it. CD.
They're about to get on you.
Big 4. Well, Marvin get there to big 5.
I think so too. And I get if you want to like split the asset and get a little bit deeper, I guess, but it's 12 teams start 10. Like depth isn't like crazy important in that type of format. It helps to have a little bit, but I'm not moving Jamar Chase, bro. Like he is a hammer asset, as good as it's going to get at the wide receiver position. Like you mentioned, there's 4 guys there, 5 guys, I think, if we include Marvin, because for me, it is the Jefferson, Chase, Lamb, Amon-Ra, St. Brown. That's the tier for me. If it's not one of those guys, you're going down into the next tier, which is what? Garrett Wilson, Puka. I get if you want to like go down into that tier and get like a 105, 106 thrown in there, maybe. But even then, like, just give me the Chase side. Like, just give me the Chase side. I don't want to trade Chase on my roster.
Simple as that.
And definitely not for this. So, Spacerfield, you've been a long supporter of the show. That is a gift from, I guess, us to you. You get Jamar Chase. Congratulations. Now, with that being said, trade number 8. Jay Kirby. He is the one who submitted this. 12 teams. Actually, no, I think Anthony submitted this on behalf of Jay Kirby. So Kirby might not even know he's getting his trade graded. 12 teams, super flex, tight end premium, full PPR, start 10, standard type of format. Jaylen Waddle, Nico Collins for Tank Dell, the 111 and the 206. Let it sit for a second. War. Because we've had the Stephon Diggs stuff kind of shake up how we're viewing this Texans wide receiver room. Of the 2, and I want to start here. I know which side I want.
Okay.
I want the Waddle and Collins side.
So do I.
I don't think it's particularly close.
Me either.
Okay. Of Nico and Tank Dell, which asset do you think was hurt more by the Diggs acquisition?
We already know that because me and you talked about this before, but definitely Nico Collins.
Okay, you think Nico is hurt more from the acquisition?
Oh, okay. Absolutely.
I think there's an argument that it's Tank Dell. I think that there's an argument that it's Tank Dell. If, after doing a little bit more research on Stephon Diggs, the down back half of the season that he had last year, his year in whole, a lot of stuff going on this last year with Stephon Diggs. After digging into that, what I have found, Diggs' deep route running was virtually gone last year. He became a short and intermediate winner, which he's still a very elite winner in the short and intermediate game, but the deep ball is pretty much gone. Nico Collins excels at the deep ball, especially in that Houston Texans offense. He plays more of an X type of wide receiver job. Stephon Diggs, more of a slot /Y type wide receiver. Tank Dell, more of a slot/Y type wide receiver. Tank Dell had the cracked fibula in the back half of the year. They voided the years off of Diggs' contract. Could this be telling us that, hey, maybe Tank Dell isn't going to be as healthy as we think he is going to be, and we need a guy like Stefon Diggs to come in, and we'll lean on him early on in the year, and when Dell comes back, we'll have all three of these guys for sure. But could the Texans be telling us that Stefon Diggs is the Band-Aid to the Tank Dell injury?
God damn you. I didn't even think about that aspect of it. I mean, when you put it like that, yeah. I mean, I'm still taking the Waddle side. It doesn't impact us at all, but just in terms of the Texans structure, man, that's really eye-opening because they did void the years on the contract. Tank did get hurt late in the season. I mean, it kind of all just makes sense.
I think there's definitely a world where all of these guys are going to be successful on the field at the same time this year. But I think early on, I just don't think Collins' role is going to be affected that much. And them voiding the years off of Diggs' contract to the point of where at the end of this season, Nico Collins is up for a contract extension. They're going to be able to get out of Stefon Diggs if they want to and just give the money to Nico Collins.
Yeah. And I also think that the organization probably likes the idea of keeping the two wide receivers and CJ Stroud together as well, especially with Stefon Diggs' locker room concerns. They probably just want to keep the momentum going of the success they had last season. That's why they bring him in to Tank Dell gets healthy. And then after the season, they'll let Diggs go free to try to join his brother.
Make a bunch of money, Diggs, if you want. You've been by that time, he'll probably have already yelled at CJ Stroud 3 times on the sideline, and then he'll probably have subtweeted him throughout the offseason as well. We'll be at that point in the Diggs drama that he will then go to Dallas and play with Trayvon. It is what it is. Go Ring says, are people not paying attention? This is Waddle and not even close for me. But I think that Nico has definitely hurt more. But I think he has a safer floor out of the two of them. So a little bit of differences on who's hurt more, Nico Collins, Tank Dell. I think that there's an argument that it is Tank. The community seems to feel like it's Nico. It feels like most of the community wants to just be like, well, Nico's the guy that I don't want. I think this is a perfect buy low window on Nico Collins if people are going to trip off of that. But looking at the trade, give me Jaylen Waddle and that side by a mile, because look, let's just say Collins and Tank Dell are equal. Let's just call them equal. Okay. Right? Take them out. It's Jaylen Waddle for the 111 and the 206. What the hell are we doing here?
I don't even got to say what it is. It's a wash.
What are we doing here? So give me the Jaylen Waddle side.
What are we doing here?
Give me the Jaylen Waddle side, but there we go.
You know what? I noticed that people have been sleeping on Waddle and Devonta Smith a lot lately. Like, I don't know what it is.
Dude,
I can understand people sleeping on Devonta a little bit, but Waddle, that's a completely different story.
I think it is because, one, their wide receiver one in those offenses, A.J. Brown and Tyreek Hill, balled out last year. Like, A.J. Brown was like a top 5 in fantasy points per game. Tyreek Hill, we know what the hell he did. He was chasing 2,000 yards. Jaylen Waddle was a little bit banged up. Devontae Smith, a little bit of a down year. People just were like, they're mid. They've gotten beat out by the number one guys in the offense. Yeah. I'm telling you right now, people that buy Jaylen Waddle this offseason, people that buy Devontae Smith this offseason, they're going to be celebrating this year, next year, and for years in the future because they bought at the dip. They bought at the low point of Jaylen Waddle and Devontae Smith. Because we know, and we don't know, but
we have an idea.
We know that Jaylen Waddle and Devontae Smith will get big contracts to stay with those teams.
Oh, that's facts.
And if they don't, somebody's paying them.
And
So
at least
they
one
will
of
get
those
big
guys,
contracts.
the heir apparent.
And A.J. Brown, how confident are we that he is a Philadelphia Eagle for the next 2 years?
Not too confident.
How confident are we that Tyreek Hill is going to still be playing football in 2 years?
I think he will, but I don't think he's going to be a cheetah. He might be some other
He
type
said
of
he was going to retire after his contract was up, which is 2 years away.
Oh.
If that is, I mean, he could change his mind any given moment, but I just feel like Jaylen Waddle, these are heir apparents, the next in the throne. And you're going to get them right now at wide receiver 2 costs. I don't mean to throw him in here. I just got Jaylen Waddle for JSN. It cost me the 106 last year to draft JSN. I turned that into Jaylen Waddle, who is going to be a stud. Yeah. You're going to be able to do it this year too. People are going to get hyped. I guarantee you're going to get Brian Thomas Jr. to the Bills. And it's going to be like somebody wants that 109 to get BTJ, and they'll give you Jaylen Waddle to go get. Like, somebody's going to lose their mind because they want the next wide receiver 1 for Josh Allen. It's not as sexy as Jaylen Waddle's not as sexy as the wide receiver 1 for Josh Allen because he's the wide receiver 2 for Tua. But I promise that Waddle will outscore him. So it is a good buy low window. And you're right. People are sleeping on those guys right now. And Anthony says, hot take, Diggs to Dallas, pin it, 04-14. That was me. Hey, War said it too. That's a Let's Talk Dynasty take that Stephon Diggs will be a Dallas Cowboy in the next 24 months.
I believe.
Roll says, I've been saying that about Waddle for the longest time. Waddle was my wide receiver 8, was wide receiver 8, even with Tyreek.
True.
Look, man, buy low. Go buy some Jaylen Waddle. We saw it twice in today's show already that Jaylen Waddle is not being valued appropriately in your leagues right now. So go buy some Jaylen Waddle. But we got 2 more trades, War. We're about 52 minutes into this episode. Like to keep them about an hour these days. Yeah. Trade 9. Spency Football submitted this. He is going to be receiving Mark Andrews, Jerry Jeudy, a 25 first. He gives up Mike Evans, Jordan Love. This is a 10-team Superflex full PPR start 10. War, you and I, we both made that face because we kind of have a rule for the most part where in a Superflex league, in a 2-quarterback league, I don't want to give you my quarterback without getting one back. That position is so scarce. But in this deal, he gives up Jordan Love, and he's not getting a quarterback back. How do we feel about this type of deal?
I'm Jordan Love side, and despite the things I've said in the past, I'm Jordan Love on that side 100%. Man, the context doesn't even say tight end premium. Jerry Jeudy,
and it could be, but he didn't put it, so I'm assuming it's not.
Yeah, Jerry Jeudy. I mean, this trade violates multiple rules. Multiple of my rules.
Don't trade for Jerry Jeudy.
Don't trade for Jerry Jeudy. Don't be thinking too much about the 25 first just yet. And you acquired a tight end in the not tight end premium league, and you
gave up a quarterback without getting one back. Yeah,
exactly. So yeah, I'm Jordan Love side all the way.
I am too, and I'm gonna ask the question.
Okay.
Because I want to make this somehow constructive for Spency. If you remove Mike Evans, are you still taking the Jordan Love side? If it's Jordan Love for Mark Andrews, Jerry Jeudy, and a 25 first?
Yeah.
I am too. So, I mean, that's already showing you kind of where the overpay is at right there. And what I think, and maybe where we are lacking context, there could be some miscommunication in this context as well. Maybe he's stacked at quarterback, potentially. Because if you were buying Jordan Love going into last season, he didn't cost you a lot going into last year. Now he does. So maybe he bought Jordan Love at a lower cost and now is selling out. I don't know. To me, I want to try and make this constructive. Let's if you were going to sell Jordan Love right now, it's Mark Andrews, a 2025 first, Jerry Jeudy, and what else? A 2024 first as well, probably in the top 5, top 7.
If it's not number 1 or number 2, then no.
Yeah. Guy says it's 10 team though. What if he has Lamar or Dak? And that's what I'm saying. We could be missing some context. This could be missing context of his roster. But I will say, it is Jordan Love right now, just where he's being valued in the community. He is currently the quarterback 10. He is in the same value. He's sandwiched between Kyler Murray and Justin Herbert.
Yeah.
So how you are selling Justin Herbert right now, how you are valuing Justin Herbert, Jordan Love is being valued the same way.
And that's what I was about to say. Even when I think about, okay, when you said, oh, maybe he has quarterbacks, there's not too many quarterbacks he could have that I'm going to be like, oh, yeah, that player's better. Like, if he has Dak, I'm not taking Dak over Jordan Love. Like, it's just a no for me, dog. Like, I can't think unless he has somehow like Mahomes and Burrow or Burrow and Lamar, like something like that. I can't do it.
I think the thing too that's really getting me is that it wasn't written in context that it's a tight end premium league. So if the fact that this is not tight end premium, or at least I'm perceiving that this is not a tight end premium league, already makes me feel like the Mark Andrews asset is not as valuable as I want it to be. And that's the best asset in the deal on his side, the receiving side. You could argue, and I'm not saying that this is how I value it, but you could argue that the two most valuable assets in the deal are the assets he is sending away. In a non-tight end premium league, you could argue that Mike Evans is more valuable than Mark Andrews.
You can.
Obviously, in tight end premium, you prefer Mark Andrews, but in non-tight end premium, I think there's an argument.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I would like to see a lot more value coming in on the other side there. I just am trying to look at like cross-compatible players just to like keep giving context as to how valuable Jordan Love is right now, because I feel like a lot of people don't understand where Love is valued in the community. Like if we were looking at Jordan Love compared to the wide receiver position, Jordan Love is 400, 300 points less than Marvin Harrison Jr. Like that's the 102 in 2024. Jordan Love going for the 102 in 2024. And you're not getting that value back. The running back position, like there's not even a running back in football right now that's as valuable as that. Like I would say that Bijan's probably the most valuable, but Jordan Love is so valuable. I just am not moving it. I'm just not moving it. It's not a deal that I'm making. But
not only is he valuable in the community, but you could even go by just the eye test in real life to see what he was doing down the stretch and like project him out to be possibly even move up in his current ranking that he is now. So yeah, man.
Yeah, it is what it is. But I just wanted to give a little bit more context and try and get it a little bit more valuable. And like I said, we could be missing context. Like it says, no tight end premium, things like that. I don't know. We'll see. But let's move on to the last trade here. Speaking of Justin Herbert, we got tax avoider and AZ Forever. This is submitted by AZ Forever. 12-team Superflex PPR rebuilding. His context says that the 2025 first that he is giving away is projected to be late. So let's operate under that assumption. The 101, the 111, a late 2025 first, and a 502. Pretty irrelevant right there. I don't care about a 502. For Justin Herbert and the 105. So let's let it sit and let's look at this strictly. Can we both confidently plug in 101 as Caleb?
I can.
I can too. In a 12-team Superflex, Caleb Williams is the 101. Let's not ask the question anymore. He is that guy.
Yes.
How are we viewing Justin Herbert in comparison to Caleb Williams today? I would argue that they are very, very similar value assets.
Yes.
Are you taking Caleb Williams over Justin Herbert today?
I might be a little biased, but yes. Yes, I am.
He's not wearing a Bears jersey yet, bro.
Yeah, but I am, and I think that's what they take it. They taking him at this number.
Fair enough. So I think that there's definitely an argument about Herbert for Williams. I would still lean Herbert slightly over Williams, but it's very close. Like I'm telling you, like Caleb Williams coming into the NFL is going to be like my QB8, QB9. Justin Herbert right now, he's like my QB7. So that's how close they are.
So we can say it's a wash. Kind of.
That's what I'm trying to get to. If I would view it as a tier break between Caleb and Herbert, and I want to throw that late 25 first and say that Caleb in the late 25 first equal Herbert, but that feels a little bit, I almost feel like I would take Caleb in the late first. So I can't necessarily throw that one in. What if we, It's tough. It's tough. It's honestly, this is why it's such a good trade, I think, because you can go either way. But I think the thing that throws it off for me and why I feel weird about this deal in general is the 105. The 105 feels like it's throwing it off for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like, I'm getting Herbert, and let's say the 105 is what? Malik Neighbors, Odunze?
Yeah, one of those guys.
So you get Justin Herbert and Malik Neighbors, or you get Caleb Williams and Xavier Worthy and a late 25 first and 502.
Well, you put it like that. When you put it like that, that does make it seem like the Herbert side has all the juice.
That's where I feel like the more valuable assets are there. This is a good deal. I think it's a very good deal. The only thing that makes me, which I guess I don't necessarily understand, is AZ Forever is the one who submitted this, and they say that they are rebuilding. So if you're rebuilding, why are you not picking Caleb Williams and just rolling with Caleb as your QB of the future? Why are you buying? And I get it. Justin Herbert's not old by any means. He's 26 years old. Like, but also like I could buy 5 years of Caleb Williams as a rebuilder. I get you're getting the 105. There's a major difference in that. But I think if I'm rebuilding, having Caleb Williams and 2 future first round picks, there's value in that side as well. And I'm just playing devil's advocate. I want to play both sides of this. I think value-wise, I am taking the Herbert, the 105. But I think that there's an argument that for a rebuilding roster, the Caleb Williams side actually makes more sense.
Yeah, I kind of agree.
So, I don't know. This is an interesting one. I see we got people saying Herbert over Caleb, but they're in the same tier. Go Ring said, did something happen to Herbert? Yeah, I guess all of his wide receivers left town and Jim Harbaugh was hired to run the football. So that's the narrative that people have. I am going to be very interested in if Jim Harbaugh and these Chargers draft Marvin Harrison Jr. at the 105. With the fifth pick in the NFL draft, if they take Marvin Harrison Jr., because think about it, Arizona has that pick, and they could sit there and they could pick, but they're going to have Minnesota calling to move up, offering 3 first-round picks. They're going to have Las Vegas. They're going to have Denver. All of these teams are going to want to move up and try and draft J.J. McCarthy or try and draft Drake May or try and draft Jayden Daniels. And if that happens, we're probably going to have quarterback. First 4 picks in the NFL draft.
Yeah.
Wide receiver 1 off the board. 5th overall pick. Los Angeles Chargers select Marvin Harrison Jr. How the hell do we react to Justin Herbert if he is throwing the football to Marvin Harrison?
I don't know, because I heard an interesting rumor the other day.
What is it?
An interesting rumor that if 4 quarterbacks go simultaneously, 1 through 4, that the Bears might actually, and I know Warren Bears, that they might actually be willing to move 1-9 in their 25 first to get up to draft Marvin Harrison Jr. at 5. That's just a rumor I heard. That's just a rumor I've heard.
Fair. But I think even if Arizona number 4, they don't trade, they sit there, they pick Marv. And if Los Angeles goes Malik Neighbors 105, like, are we looking at Justin Herbert better than we're looking at him today? For damn sure. Yeah. So I think if you can get Justin Herbert for a price from the current manager under the assumption that this is a run-heavy football team and they are not drafting a wide receiver, because there's people out there that do believe that. If you can draft him at that price, there is a chance out here that they do get one of the top wide receivers, and all of a sudden we're looking at Justin Herbert throwing to Malik Neighbors. We're seeing him throw to Marvin Harrison Jr. Or maybe they do trade back and they just select Odunze. And there's a whole bunch of options, even if it's Brock Bowers. Like, do you feel better about Justin Herbert if he has Brock Bowers in his offense? I do.
Absolutely.
Because right now it's Quentin freaking Johnson and Josh Palmer.
Yep.
Gus Edwards. I'm penciling it in. I'm penciling it in right now. Round 2 or round 3, Blake Corum to the Chargers. It's happening. I know it's happening. I've seen the future. Clip this, put it in your notes, in your saved videos on your phone, tweet it out at me on draft day, because it's happening. I've seen the future. Blake Corum is a Charger.
Clip this. The Chargers are going to draft Joe Alt, so they better have some packages where he's throwing to the tackle.
We'll see. But War, if you want to sell some Justin Herbert in our league that we play in together, that you have Justin Herbert in. Oh wait, you don't have him anymore. You got CJ Stroud. Never mind.
Sold him. Gone. You out of there.
I was gonna try and use car salesman you to death and try and buy some Justin Herbert right now. But Anthony says hot take number 2 saved in my Rolodex. Hey, every time we hop on Let's Talk Dynasty, you probably get another one that you get to put in there. So just set up a folder, an album in your phone, save them all as they all start to age like fine milk. Just put them back out there, tweet them at me, send them to me in Discord, because every once in a while, and this is me getting out of the show, this is me actually leaving into our intro or our outro here, War. Every once in a while, we do an episode that I would like to say it's inspired by a specific Twitter account. You guys know the Twitter account, but nobody else on the YouTube space does this. And I really haven't seen anybody do it, but we do an episode called Show Me the Receipts. That is what our next episode is. So if you see all of these being taken, you see these takes, these funny things that we throw in here, well, we clip them. We talk about the good. We talk about the bad. That is what we're doing on next episode. We're showing you the receipts, the good takes, the bad takes, the ugly, the fun, all of it. So that's what we're doing in our next episode. Anthony says Excel file. Andrew, hot takes. So we'll put it in there. But that is our next episode. So with that being said, folks, if you did enjoy tonight's stream, we got a lot of people in here, 46 people. If you enjoyed it, hit the like button on your way out, please. That is the best free way to show us some support on this channel. Also, if you've not subscribed to this channel, this is your first time here, I promise all of the content on this channel is entertaining, is good, is actionable. You will enjoy it. Hit that subscribe button for me. Hit that notification bell. And last but not least, join that Discord. So when we have our next trade show here in a couple weeks for the May trade show, your trade could potentially be reviewed on an episode like this. So we want to see your trades. Go put them in that Discord. War, you got anything for the good people before we get on out of here?
Do you like professional wrestling? I know I do. Let do a little commercial real quick. But now, anyway, check us out over on our YouTube channel, The Crimson Mass Show. Make sure you put it all. The Crimson Mass Show, where me and my friends, we talk about professional wrestling. This past week, we talked about the head guy in AEW, Tony Khan. He's a moron, made a complete embarrassment of himself. Go check us out. Please like us. Please subscribe to us. We'll be very thankful.
Yeah, and as this goes up as like a stream replay, YouTube puts it up as a stream replay. In the description of that will be linked in the description. So you guys will be able to just directly click on his channel for professional wrestling if you like professional wrestling. ECW, ECW, ECW is what Anthony is saying. So with that being said, folks, we will see you on the next episode of Let's Talk Dynasty next week when we talk fantasy receipts. So get ready. This one's going to get juicy. We'll see you on the next one. Peace out.